Quite the display of destruction. And to think, only the two of us could pull something like this off. I wonder where they could be. I see. Look at you. Any other time and you would have moved that off you by now. Well, aren't you going to struggle? No use. That's certainly new. What happened to all that self-confidence you always wore? That hope that you always bolster around to people? Not this time. Here. Let me. There. At least you'll be able to breathe a little easier. I can see it now. That look in your eyes. It's over, isn't it? It's funny when you think about it. You hear all these tales of the hero always stopping the villain and saving the day, or in some cases, the death of the villain themselves. But that's not the case here, is it? No. I see you still have enough strength to speak, although it is faltering. No. I'm not going to put you out of your misery. I still need a minute to soak in the fact that this is reality for us. Besides, no one else is here. I know the pain must be unbearable, but it is nothing compared to dying alone. So I'll do something good for once. Then I'll sit here with you. I know. I am the worst. But that's the point, right? If not, then why do we even bother fighting each other? Actually, hold that thought, if you still can. I'll come back to that. So you must be wondering why I would waste my time with you in your final moments. It is complicated, to say the least. I'm sure most evildoers, if they were to be in my shoes, would be leaping for joy right now. But not me. I don't feel joy. If anything, I feel regret, turmoil even. A turmoil that will eventually evolve into emptiness. I cannot deny that I've brought this upon myself, but I would be a fool if I didn't accept it. There is one thing you must understand. I did this. I knew what I was getting into when I started all this. And even though I don't know where I will be once it is all over, I always knew what my end goal was. I always knew how this would end. And whether I got a chance to accomplish it or not was always for you to decide. But it seems fate has decided that this is where our eternal struggle ends. Like I said earlier, I should be overjoyed about this, but I'm not. Perhaps there's a reasoning as to why. But my main source of happiness was lost a long time ago. Every day. I still think about them every day. How could one not? There's no need to apologize. As you should already know, I won't accept it. It's not easy for a parent to bury their wife and child. I still wonder why. Out of all of those people, why them? What did they ever do to anyone or anything? Did they truly deserve to leave this living realm before I did? Add in the fact that you just couldn't save them in time. You were too busy with another villain from your rogues gallery. You remember, right? When we locked eyes, as I was holding the two things I loved most in my arms. I'm sure you felt it. The weight of guilt on those mighty shoulders of yours. Maybe even back then you knew. You knew this would not be the last time we crossed paths. And when we met again, I was ready. I studied everything I needed to know about you. And even now, you have still yet to know everything about me. Out of all of those villains, everyone you ever fought, I was the only one who knew how to gain a handle on you. The powers didn't matter. What mattered was I could put you in your place. I could ground you back down to earth. I could hurt you like how you hurt me. And yet that was the only thing I couldn't help but to wonder. Why? Why does it still hurt? But now that I think about it, I'm not the only one you failed to save, am I? No. Of course not. I just happened to be the worst. The one that came back to haunt you more than anyone else. I bet it keeps you up at night, wondering where you went wrong. Don't feel too bad. It happens to me too. Even in your weakened state, you continuously insist that an apology will fix this. It may dishearten you to hear this, but it won't. It never will. They say that you'll get over it. It's all a part of life, but I never got over it. Not yet, at least. It terrifies me to no end, knowing that I may never get over it. It's funny. We've been doing this for years, and I think this is the first time you've ever agreed with me. What are you looking for? Some kind of comfort, or redemption, or acceptance? Or maybe just to buy time. Some heroes they must be. They're taking their sweet time just to come save you, yet you waste no time returning the favor for them. Truly ungrateful hypocrites. But if it makes you feel any better, I get the same kind of treatment all the time. In my field, your allies aren't allies, not unless they can get something out of you. Or worse, leave you to perish while they save their own necks. No one cares about the bad guys. They'll only care when they hear about your funeral arrangement, but it'll be more of a celebration than anything. But not you. When you pass on, and judging by that fleeting look in your eyes, you will. They'll gather around. All of your family and loved ones, your friends and teammates, all the people you saved, the strangers who believe in you, and will still be believing even after you're gone. They'll be there. Shedding tears, sending condolences, planting memorials. And you, my friend, will go down as a legend. And you'll be remembered. While I will not. There's no need for your pity. True. How could you forget a face like mine? Yes. I remember the day when I showed you it was me. The real me. That reaction. Your face was filled with such horror and shock upon the realization. I knew you recognized me. I watched you put the pieces back together in your head. I could never forget that. Why did I do what, exactly? The face reveal. Well, the reason seems silly, but I just wanted to show you that it was more than just a costume. It was a choice. A choice that I willingly made. So, when the path revealed itself, there was nothing left for me to do other than to follow it. The mask and the costume mean nothing if you're not willing to accept the dangers and horrors that it brings. All the things that you'll have to do. The people that you have to kill. Everything that brings you closer to the end. But you would know something about that, wouldn't you? And so, when you decide to be the hero that you are, it was a choice. And with that being said, I must ask, do you regret it now? I feel like you're lying to me, but then again, you've never been the type to lie. Do I regret this? I'm sure you already know the answer to that. You don't need to hear my answer. To be honest, I'm still contemplating it myself. No. Back on topic, since this seems to be the end. There's one thing I always wondered about. It seems you've read my mind. You know who I am, but I never could quite figure out who you were. I came close many times, but in the end, I never came to a proper conclusion. So I must know who is behind that mask. May I? Good. Because even if you didn't agree, I would have done it anyway. You. It was you. All this time. I never would have thought. I guess this brings a whole new meaning to personal business. What do you mean it isn't too late? No, don't give me that. It was too late when I lost everything that day. There was no going back. And I crossed many lines. Many lines that I can't. I've done many things. That I can't undo now. How could you try and tell me that? My wife and child were my everything. What else do I have left? I've given up everything else. I've sacrificed so much to get to where I am. To imagine watching you die. I've given everything I have. But despite everything, you still have hope for me, don't you? Yeah, always have. What? You shouldn't forgive me so easily. Do I forgive you? I guess. Well, what do you know? Looks like they finally got off their butts and did something useful. Isn't that exciting? Hey. Wait. I see. I guess you held out just long enough for one last conversation. Now that I know the truth, I've got a lot to think about. The sirens are getting closer, which means it is time for me to leave. But before I do, don't worry about your sidekick. I'll make sure they become just as great as you were, even if it costs me my life. I'll keep them safe, and I'll make sure they get a chance to avenge you, and then kill me, and finally put an end to this vicious cycle that we started all those years ago. Farewell. Wherever you end up after this, wherever it is you go, I'm sure you'll see me again. But until then, goodbye.